Welcome to take two of Between Two Lances with Jac Hutchinson. Full disclosure, we tried this once and Zoom shut down right as we were ending, nothing processed, and it's cool though. Jac is the best, and so it just shows you that she is not only a good friend, but also really wants to help the IDLance community so much that she's willing to talk to me twice about the same things.
I would talk to you anytime.
Oh, that's even better. Question number one for Between Two Lances. What were you doing before you started, number one, before you started freelancing? And then what was happening when you decided to actually start your own business?
Before I went out freelancing, I was working for an organization and decided that I wasn't using my skills the way I wanted to, so I was doing some stuff on the side. Mm-hmm. Just kind of keeping my fingers in the development side because I was on the management side, so I was managing people, I was managing projects, I was the manager of a unit. And I wasn't really getting to do the fun stuff, the development, the instructional design. So I wanted to keep doing that. And I went out and found some people through my network who needed some help and just kind of started that way. Built that up. And I built that up over time, so much so that when I actually quit my full-time job to pursue this as a 100%, this is my only employment, I more than doubled my government job. So I was doing very, very well. And I was just too busy. I didn't have time anymore for both. So I left the city and I have not looked back. It was the best decision ever.
That's awesome. Were those first gigs that you did, what were they like? Like what were some of your projects? I was really into Lectora back then. So a lot of my projects were Lectora based. So they were converting PowerPoints into Lectora, boring, kind of like what some of the projects are now, converting into Storyline. It was mostly doing the development. So not a lot of instructional design at the beginning. It was mostly developing something that someone else had designed, and then I got to kind of add my stamp to that and make suggestions, recommendations back to them once I got their content. And mostly that. That's cool.
At the beginning.
And I think that's something that I am glad that I asked, because one thing that I talk to a lot of people who are new at freelancing is like, sometimes don't be worried that whatever the task that you're starting out doing just to get your foot in the door and learning how to work with people in this way, it could be anything. And I would say, like, don't underestimate or overestimate the exposure that you can get from like doing that kind of stuff. Like, obviously you're not going to do one project and then they're going to be like, you are in charge of everything now. Like, we love you so much. But then sometimes you get brought in on something small and you're good at it and they go, hey, like, you seem like you could also be good at this, this, and this. So yeah, like, that's one thing is like, don't judge the first things that you're going to go for. It's not going to brand you for life. Like,
no, but it is important that you still give 100% effort to whatever it is you do.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. Just like, go for it. If you're starting out freelancing, you see a gig posted and you think you can do it, just go for it and do it fast.
What's the worst that can happen? They say, no, we don't want you, or we don't need you, and you're not going to fit for the project or whatever. Yeah.
And like that, just like even applying for regular jobs, like I'm sure everybody's already experienced being rejected for something. So it's no different. You don't have to.
You might as well just get used to it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't change. When you become a freelancer, you're just now competing with all the other freelancers out there. Find your niche, find what you do well and excel at it. Don't try to do everything, because even as a freelancer, you can outsource some of your work if you need to, right? So build up your network to be able to fill those gaps.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point, because I think people get intimidated thinking like, oh my gosh, I see all these people in LinkedIn, they're writers and they're developers and they make videos and they do their own voiceover. And like, maybe sometimes they do all of those things, but chances are they work with other people and they also represent themselves as someone who can get all that done because they
Yep.
know how to resource it.
Exactly. Be willing when you're going and looking for somebody to help you with your project, be willing to negotiate with them as you would be willing to negotiate with someone who wants to outsource part of their project to you. You can't expect, $100 an hour when you're first starting out freelancing. Well, you can ask, but I think it's unreasonable. And I think that, expectations need to be checked a little bit, that, once you've been on a project, there are so many things you need to include in the price of the project that in your first few years of being a freelancer, you might not consider, or you might not add in. And then, down the road, once you're established and your flow, what you need to outsource, what the cost of outsourcing that is to get the quality you want, then you can increase your rates.
Yeah, exactly. And we, that's a good, it's almost like you're reading a script that's plugging the things that we have to offer, because we have, it's not one of those out of the box, like pricing calculators that you're going to
saw it actually.
Huh?
I saw it.
Yeah. Like it actually, we've got something that we've taken the best of other stuff and added our own stuff. So that's something that we have right on IDLance. And then we also have resources on helping you think of those things that you might not
exactly
think of, so that you're not starting a project as a new freelancer going, how am I going to remember all this stuff? Like, we've tried to lay it all out there.
Well, and as a new freelancer, when I was new, there wasn't a big network of freelancers. It was me. I had to figure shit out for myself, and it was tough. Sorry, there's a beep moment. It was tough. I mean, I've been doing this for many, many years. But it was tough. I didn't have people to go to. I didn't have online communities where I could go and ask questions and people would answer my question, because that just didn't exist when I started. So I highly recommend that as a new freelancer, you start building up your network of people, but make sure that you're including people who are seasoned, who've been doing this a long time, who are willing to provide input, or maybe a work out loud group where you have a bunch of people that you can get together with. I have that. I have a very close group of people. I think we've become very good friends. We know each other very well, and everything goes to them before it goes anywhere else. So I go, if I have a question, and I still have lots of questions. I still have lots of things where I'm like, I don't know if this is the right thing. I don't know if I'm pricing this right. I don't know who to go to for whatever. And I can go to them, and I know that I can trust them to see things that I don't see. And they're like that extended coworker family that I don't have working by or for myself.
Yeah. And I
recommend it.
That's when someone told me, like, I think you were one of the first people that told me that, like, things like that exist. It took this there was this wave of relief where I was like, oh, I can actually talk to people about other stuff. And eventually, like, even though you're new, you still have stuff to offer to help other people, because you might have a background in something that someone has to work in. So it's this really cool, like, symbiotic thing that happens. You can find your people.
Yep, you can, and you should.
Yeah.
Totally. Definitely look for them, find them, become a Klingon. Seriously, like, just get in there and build your network, and
don't be as violent as Klingons, though, right?
Yeah, don't know.
There was something we talked about last time that I wanted to make sure that you mentioned again. That it sounds really simple, but when you're talking about connecting on LinkedIn, we talked about writing a note, but you said something.
Oh yeah. So I'm one of those people that I will connect with you. If you reach out to me, I'll connect with you. But I really want to know that you've either looked at my profile, you know who I am, maybe you listened to my podcast, you found an episode that was fun or exciting, or you laughed, or you disagreed, or whatever. I want to know how you know me. I want to know why you want to know me. Why are you, I have like 1,000 people reaching out to me saying, nothing. It's just a link that says so-and-so wants to connect with you. It takes nothing to, and I know that this is a problem with mobile phones specifically, right? Like you see them, you say, oh, I want to connect with them. And you hit the button, and before you know it, the request is gone and there's nothing. So you know what I do is, if that happens to me, I go into LinkedIn and I find maybe somewhere where they've commented, or I find a post that they've put up, and it takes me 2 minutes to post a note to say, hey, whatever, I like this comment, or just want you to know I reached out to you for a connection on LinkedIn. I'm sorry I didn't include a note. It takes nothing to do that.
Yeah.
But at least it lets the person you want to connect with know that you are willing to make the effort to connect with them.
Yeah. And
right?
when you said
Don't be
that,
lazy.
I never thought of that. It blew my mind. And I've realized when there's really good points in these interviews, I think I'm going to put my sunglasses on so visually people know that something really cool just happened. What do you think? These are kind of like my Aunt Carol's regular glasses.
I love it.
I like them. That's how you know.
I could put mine on too. We could do a dual moment.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were going to do this.
I didn't either.
Cool moment. Here you go.
We did it.
I could take them off, or I can't see because I'm old.
Oh, that's important. You should see. What kind of education did you have before you started being a freelance ID? And do you think it actually, what did you think it actually helped with? Was it, I don't want to ask this question in a loaded way, because I have my own opinions about the stuff that I've done and how much it's actually helped versus how much it's just helped to have that title degree.
I have a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Waterloo, and I have a Bachelor of Education in Adult Education. It's a very specific degree from Brock University in St. Catharines here in Ontario. Both of them are, University of Waterloo is highly regarded for its math and science. I did not take math or science. There's a reason. And Brock is very highly regarded as a school for teaching teachers. I have only the Bachelor of Education in Adult Education. So it's specifically focused on teaching adults. Did it prepare me? Nothing prepared me for being a freelancer. Nothing prepared me for that except for my work ethic. I'm a workaholic, and I think we talked about that last time, but yeah. So, if I'm not working, I'm not happy. And so I feel like I always want to be working. I always want to be doing something. So I have to actually find hobbies that engage my brain and my hands. I can't just sit and watch television. I can't just, I have to be thinking, and then even then it's like, oh, I got to go do such and such. I got to go email so-and-so. It's like Sunday at midnight, whatever. Yep. What they did teach me, what these universities degrees did teach me, was critical thinking, the ability to recognize anomalies. But a lot of that came from experience, my job experience, my work experience, and managers who were willing to mentor me, colleagues that were willing to work with me. I always asked my colleagues information about their stuff, but my degrees didn't necessarily prepare me for freelancing. What prepared me for freelancing was finding a Facebook group for entrepreneurial women.
Yep.
That prepared me for freelancing. Because it taught me a different mindset. It taught me how to think about business versus a job.
I want to put a caveat. We're not advocating being a workaholic to the point where you're sick and you're like mentally unhealthy. We both are just connected in that, like, I enjoy having lots of stuff that I'm doing, like different projects, and like having something that's always, coming up. And just like when I watch TV, I'm usually like doodling or drawing, and when I get up,
watch TV, I'm working.
Exactly. Well, no, I work too, but when I'm forcing myself to like not, if I need brain space away from work because I need to work through a problem, I'm usually like doodling or something, but I need something with my hands to do. Or, I'm one of those weirdos that finds cleaning a little bit therapeutic when I don't have to do it all the time.
You are a weirdo.
I don't know. Blame my parents.
Something we didn't talk about last time, I'm going to drop this little nugget in here.
Drop it.
If you can afford it, And if you're working from home and if you are trying to be a freelancer and make money, and if you're not a weirdo like Andrea and you don't like cleaning your house, one of the first things you might want to look at outsourcing is having somebody come in and clean your house.
See, I still do that, but I have them come when I still have to do a little bit. So I always have little tasks that I can do to make myself feel better, but then it's not stressful to me.
Yeah, I outsource my house cleaning because I didn't want to spend 4 or 5 hours on a Saturday or hours during the week trying to keep the dog and cat hair under control. And, like I do stuff around the house, but I'd rather be working. I'd rather be sitting in front of my computer, working or learning.
Exactly. And it's not even coming from this place of privilege, like have a house. It's like, it's almost like you're delegating parts of your life so that you can enjoy, like it's about your values and what you would rather be doing and like contributing to the economy by like, you know what I mean? So I'm all for it too. And also I kind of met the best person ever who cleans my house. And he's like a 76-year-old guy. And he's like my daughter's grandfather now. Like it's the best.
That's awesome.
He loves it. Like we chat most of the time. Anyway, it's good. You never know who you're going to meet. Okay.
That's true.
What is the biggest accomplishment you've had with your own business?
I think that it was kind of a twofold event. First was incorporating my business. So I was no longer a freelancer. Now I'm a business and I work for my business. That's the first thing. And the second thing was being able to hire my first employee and make payroll twice a month. Big things, right?
Putting my sunglasses back on. You can keep yours off, but that's something cool. Anyway.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. I mean, because we have ups and downs, and I still have ups and downs. As a freelancer, there's tons of work and then you have that lull where there isn't. So being able to have the funds and the projects to be able to afford having employees is, for me, it's huge, but it's also what my goal was. My goal was never to be a freelancer for the rest of my life. My goal was to own a business and to employ other people and work with other people and have a team.
In one sentence, what do you think is the most important advice you could give a new ID freelancer?
I said it so good last time and I don't remember what I said. That's the downfall of having to redo this, right?
Yeah, I could put I would say I was going to edit that into this one, but it's gone.
You can't. So definitely your network, like building up your network and having a network available to you, but knowing who you are and what you're good at and not trying to go outside that box.
You said know who you are and what you're good at and own it, something like that.
Yes, definitely own it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you don't own who you are, then people are just going to walk all over you or you'll be forgettable.
Exactly. And it goes with that authenticity thing. If you're just like spouting out generic phrases on LinkedIn and things that are like empty or devoid of personality, people will see that real quick. And it's harder to do that than just be yourself.
Yeah.
Here's a fun one, sort of. What's your like schedule like? Like how do you manage your time?
My day is really busy. I very specifically moved my office up into the top floor of my home into a spare bedroom so that at the end of my workday, I could leave the office and close the door. But I have a laptop too. So, I do most of my work on my desktop and then go downstairs and continue to work on my laptop. But that's my time. And I don't count that as billable time. Right. So like my hours, I get up anywhere between 5:30 and 6 most days. I have some clients in the UK that want to meet early in the morning. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, I might have a meeting. I try to spend the first hour of my day on LinkedIn and Twitter, getting caught up on my social media or doing research, reading things, doing my own little bit of learning while I have my coffee. And then I can move on with my day and I can concentrate on all the other things that are work related and billable. Because it becomes a mindset now where is this a billable, is this billable hours that needs to be done during billable time?
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially if you've got 10 billable hours to do on a project over 2 days, then you have 5 hours a day, or you do 8 and 2, or however you want to do it.
Yeah.
But you know, billable hours is huge.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's something that I wish that I got on board with earlier, is tracking my time. Now, in my head, I was like, in the beginning, I was like, oh, do I really have to do that?
You want to track everything.
Yes.
Track everything, including the things that you do that are not billable.
Mm-hmm.
I use Harvest.
Me too.
But I also, my accountant just told me that my QuickBooks will do all the things I do with Harvest, and it will be automatically connected to a client. So then I can just quickly create an invoice from there rather than having to link it from Harvest to QuickBooks. So
Nice.
I'm kind of looking at transitioning that. Plus, my employee tracks his hours against QuickBooks in projects. So it's kind of like I'm duplicating some effort. But in Harvest, what I really like about Harvest, and because I'm comfortable using it, is I actually have line items for non-billable accounting, non-billable marketing, non-billable whatever, non-billable medical appointments, or whatever it is that I'm doing, so that I know how I spend my time.
I don't know if this happened for you, but when I started actually, like, sometimes I even use a timer, like, to see how long I'm doing something. I was way more focused. I almost thought of it as like my brain thought of it almost like a game, where it's like, boom, I'm going to get this done. I know how much time I have to do it. And then I stopped straying as much. Because then when you have to keep starting and stopping it, because you're like, I'm going to check Facebook, I'm going to go do this. You get annoyed with yourself, and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to leave this tab.
Oh, because Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn are rabbit holes, especially for me.
Yep.
What I found, though, is that tracking my time made my estimates more accurate. So I was better able to price my projects, because I wasn't going, well, I think it's going to take me 10 hours, and it took me 25.
2 quick ones, because we can keep it quick. Number 1, twofold, best and worst part about being a freelance ID.
I can say no to projects if I want to. Best part. Worst part is the stress and the imposter syndrome during a down cycle.
Yeah.
You have to really be prepared for that. You have to think in advance, how much money do I need if I don't have a client for 3 months or 6 months? How desperate do I have to be to take that job I said no to? Because there are jobs that you're going to be offered, and you'll take it, and you'll be like, why did I take this job? And the last thing I would want is any freelancer to hate it because they took a job because they felt like they had to take the job. Now, sometimes we do. Sometimes, especially when you're starting out, you might have to take a crappy job, or you might have to take something you really don't want to do to get your foot in the door somewhere, or to help create your nest egg before you make the leap into freelance 100%. Sometimes we have to take them. Sometimes in the downturn of an economy, we need to take a project that maybe doesn't pay as much and is just as much work. But the ability to say no is something you really need to work up to.
Yeah.
And it, if you're going to say no to a project, your network, you should be referring out to your network if you can. Help the people around you so that they'll help you in turn when you need it. I could talk on and on about that.
Exactly. And then when you're referring people that, you can sort of vouch for, or give them, give them that work, like, it makes you look good too, because
absolutely,
you're being
like, I can't do it, but I know someone who can.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. And you mentioned something last time that I remembered. What do you recommend that people do so that when they're having sort of a downtime, they can sort of lift themselves back up?
What did I say? Wink, wink. I can't remember.
Here's a hint.
Oh, the brag book. Yeah. See? Mine's here.
Ooh, Ooh,
I didn't show it last time. And inside, I have stuff I'm not going to show. Yeah. Anytime somebody gives you kudos, anytime somebody says, this was really great, I loved what you did, whether it is a small, teeny, tiny little thing, maybe they liked the way you made a page. Like, I just got one the other day. I'm not American. I don't know if you can tell by my accent. And I'm doing narration for medical courses. I'm not a medical professional, so.
That's cool.
So I sometimes get asked to re-record things because I don't say process. I say process. And it's a mental thing, right? Like I have to keep telling myself it's process when I'm talking to them. And so it sounds weird when I say it just because it's, but lots of medical terminology, and sometimes the pronunciation could be different, right? And so like the best thing is the project manager on their side that I'm working with sends me a message and says, you nailed it the first time. And so for me, that's huge, right? Because I didn't have to re-record that. That's time back to me. It made her laugh and it made her happy because she figured it would be something that I would struggle with. But, take a screenshot or print it off. Keep a brag book of all of the positive feedback and good things that people say about you. And not only that, don't be afraid to go out and ask someone what they think your strengths are.
Yeah.
And then keep that, because you might need to look back at that and go, I need to feel good about myself. Mm-hmm. We all struggle from imposter syndrome. And you need to pull up your socks because we are as good as other people think we are.
Yep.
And comparisonitis, I'll be my best friend Jen will tell you that I suffer from comparisonitis. I am constantly comparing myself to other people, and that can be really hard, right? Because, they did such a good job on this video. Well, I'm not a video person, so of course they did a good job on it. And I shouldn't be expecting myself to be as good at that type of video because I don't do After Effects.
Yeah.
Right? So,
and there's people are so good at specific things because that's what resonates with them. They put in as like people say, they put in their 10,000 hours where and if you can't be mad at yourself that you're not as good at something.
Well, you can be, but it's
put in there. I mean, it's
wasted energy.
Yeah.
And that's what I have to remind myself is it's wasted energy. It's fine. I have other strengths. There are other things that I do very well that my clients consistently say. So,
and if you were to ask that person that, you're sad that you're not as good at, I'm sure there's something that you can do that they can't do as well, that they're also trying to work on, and they might. And this all sounds like silly sociological common sense or whatever, but I feel like we all need to just say it out loud more often because it's so easy to forget when you're also inundated with everybody else's everything all the time.
Yeah.
Forget.
Now, try not to be too outright about how awesome you are. Be awesome.
No.
And own your awesomeness, but try not to do it in a hurtful way. No. Right? Like some people, they're not very self-aware. So find some self-awareness.
I'm a big fan of like quiet confidence, where you're like, I know I can do it. I'm staying calm. Even if it's something that's hard for me, like I can figure it out. The people, it's almost like, so I used to do comedy when I was a kid.
I never would have known that.
I don't know if I'm proud of it or what, but it happened. And that all the people who were like, I'm so funny, I'm the best, were the worst. Like the worst comedians ever. And that you can probably tell all the people that the other people think are funny are usually more like, no, I'm not that great, whatever, which is this whole other problem with comedy where it almost seems like you can't be like really good if you have a ton of self-esteem, but you can't. It's like, whatever, that's a whole other thing. But the person who was like, well, my friends think I'm funny at my lunch table are like, and I'm funny because like everybody at my lunch table is always laughing. Like, that those people who have that mindset.
But the thing is, are they laughing at you or are they laughing with you? Right?
That's the thing. Last one, and you can be totally honest because I think you might know what's coming. It's the most fun question, and you don't have a traditional answer, and that's okay.
Oh my God, I probably forgot that too.
No, you didn't forget this one. What's your favorite curse word that's not a real curse?
My favorite curse word is a real curse word. I don't have any fake curse words. I come from a trucking industry background, previous.
So it rhymes with truck.
It does, totally. It's just a word in my vocabulary. To me, it's not a swear word. Sometimes I use it as a swear word, and I never use it with it's really odd. I never use it with my clients. I never use it on my podcast. I will very seldom say it around people who are older than my parents. Although lately I just don't give a fuck. I just say it all the time. It's just another word. It's an adjective. It's a noun. It's an adverb. It's anything.
Oh, right? I'd like to hear the adverb example. Thanks for joining us on Between Two Lances. Enjoy. Hopefully by the time we post this, we've got our fun frame that will literally put us between two lances.
That would be good.
In our interview so that the title makes a little bit more sense. But we hope to see you on our community and let us know what you think. Thank you, Jac.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.